Let's see if we can get anybody on the podcast who knows a lot about drugs and or China.
Like a DEA agent or something. See what they...
Ooh, I don't think we want a DEA agent.
Well, I don't want to be on.
We need a really cool DEA agent. Hey, you want to introduce yourself for the audience?
Hi, my name's Craig Fergola.
Well, we also need you're a comedian. I'll just tell them that. Spoiler alert. And then can you give us your height, age, and weight?
My height, 5'6" on a good day. Weight is 185, and I'm 39.
So you're 5'5.5".
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't care about things like height.
Except you just said on a good day.
I am who I am, and I am as God made me. So, yeah, not.
I think you could have also eaten more broccoli as a kid, and then you'd be taller. Didn't you hear that?
Yeah, but I did eat a lot of carrots, so I have crazy good eyesight.
Good eyesight, yeah. Well, that's good. You did half of it.
Yep.
I should have eaten more carrots, but I did a good job on the broccoli. I did eat a lot of broccoli.
Yeah,
I'm 5'8",
you're
you know.
quite tall, yeah.
It's not bad.
You're only 5'8", and you tower over me. Maybe I'm smaller than 5'6".
That's fine. I'll start lying to men so that they feel better.
It is like sometimes someone will tell me how tall they are. I'm like, no way, you have to be tall because you're so much taller than me.
Often I feel like people tell me they're 6 feet, and I'm like, really? You don't seem that tall.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of people when they say 6 feet, I'm like, you're full of shit.
You're
There's no way.
5'10.1".
Yeah.
Yep.
This rounding up thing is crazy.
Well, you literally just did it. But at least you said on a good
Yeah, but
day.
I rounded up to 5'6".
Yeah, and also at least you said on a good day.
I wasn't like, yeah, 6'3", 6'3".
What are you on a bad day? Let's hear that. All right. Well, what is your controversial opinion today?
My controversial opinion is I think fentanyl is the deadliest terrorist attack that has ever been perpetrated upon the U.S.
So you think it was a you think that fentanyl is a terrorist attack?
I think, well, I mean, not a direct, like 9/11-ish, but I think it is.
You think 9/11 was a terrorist attack?
Allegedly.
Okay.
I think fentanyl is a concentrated effort to undermine and just kill a bunch of Americans.
Who do you think might be perpetrating that?
It's the Chinese.
You think the Chinese
Yes.
have introduced fentanyl? But I thought the fentanyl, and I don't really know much about it. I understand
I do.
that. Okay, I understand that fentanyl is extremely cheap, and it's very, you can get large, like it only takes the tiniest little bit of it to get really high, and so that makes it easier to transport shitloads of it, and then you can just cut. What all do people cut with fentanyl now?
Everything now.
Literally everything.
Literally
like Coke,
everything.
It doesn't matter whether it's an upper or downer.
They're putting
there
it in
might be
everything.
fentanyl in it. And what does fentanyl itself do to you?
It's like it's an opiate.
It's an opiate,
so
right?
it's just a very, very strong.
So why would you put it with uppers?
This is all part of my theory. Why would you do that?
Well, but I thought but isn't it that
I mean, the idea I'm sure is that it gets you hooked faster. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It'll get you higher. So I mean, if you're that fucked up, you're probably not going to care whether it's that Coke feeling. But I think the idea behind introducing it to all these drugs is that it addicts you quicker. Therefore, if you don't die, you're going to go back and get more.
well, and plus it's just a lot cheaper than all the other drugs.
It's not that
most
cheap.
others.
It's not as cheap as people make it out
really?
to be. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, like I think if you're wholesaling, I know heroin is cheaper. If you can.
Okay.
It's because it's manufactured in a lab. It's not obviously a naturally occurring substance. It has to be synthesized, and not all of them, but the vast majority of precursor chemicals that it's taken to make this stuff is produced out of China.
Okay. Interesting. So I thought the whole idea was just that they were cutting it, just like people are always trying to cut these drugs in order to so that you can make more money off of the good drugs you're selling. You add in the cheaper drug, but you're saying you don't think it's much cheaper.
No, I don't think it's.
You don't think fentanyl is much cheaper than cocaine?
Not if you're buying cocaine out of Colombia or places like that where they're just growing. No, I don't. I think it's astronomically cheap if you can get it in places like that.
But I think it's because the fentanyl can
And
be so
also,
small. The volume is so small that for what you need.
If people are dying, you're not going to have repeat customers. I mean, people were making billions upon billions of dollars selling drugs forever.
Yeah.
Uh,
So why would you need to? Again, but I thought it was just because fentanyl was so compact, basically. Like, it only takes the tiniest bit to get you high, so that it's not that it's so much cheaper maybe to manufacture, but that it's so much cheaper to transport.
I mean, possibly, but I look at it more as like, if you're trying to, and China is known for doing like these 100-year plans. You know, they don't look at.
No, they are smart long term.
Yeah, very smart long term. And if you're trying
Strategic
to,
thinkers,
become the new great superpower, what's the best way to undermine your enemy than like killing? I mean, there's over 100,000 people dying a year from fentanyl overdoses.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the vast majority of the chemicals to make fentanyl, I think most of it is actually synthesized in Mexico because they send it to the cartels and they. But
do you think the Chinese are sending fentanyl to Mexicans to send to us?
To kill us? Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, what makes you think that?
I don't know. It's just something I thought about for a long time, and the fact that it's so effective. I mean, and like, it's first of all, how could you ever? It just sounds crazy until you think about it for a while, and it's clearly working. I mean, I think it is the number 1 cause of death between people from 18 to 35 or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're killing off a whole young generation of people. Americans love drugs. They saw what happened with the OxyContin opioid epidemic and how there was literally no consequences to that. We started this on our own, our love for opiates, and then literally nothing happened after that.
So this is revenge for when we got the Chinese hooked on opiates.
Did we get them hooked? Or I think opium's always kind of been a part of that culture, has it not?
No. Like the West introduced. Oh, yeah, well, let's look this up.
Well, no, there's the Opium Wars. I know, but I think opium's. And that I don't know for sure, but I think it's always kind of been a part of that's been their like drug of choice. The way ours is alcohol. When
I just know that I got college credit for my essay on this topic, and I don't remember anything about it anymore. So let's see.
Because opium's manufactured in the Middle East, isn't it? Oh.
Okay, in order, the East India Company and other British merchants began to smuggle Indian opium into China illegally, for which they demanded payments in silver that was used to buy tea. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they were doing it in order to get tea? Interesting. Right. So, but they were smuggling Indian opium into China. So maybe they had some before, but
they were just basically they were cartelling stuff into China.
Into China.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just came up with a new verb, cartelling.
Yeah. Okay, and so now they're getting us back.
I don't know if it's because of that. I just think it's the most subtle and most effective.
And by us,
way.
I just mean like the West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful with us. 2 people saying us. 2 people who look like us saying us is probably not a great look. I just think
some of my ancestors were in Britain in the 1830s. So,
oh, good, not mine. They were all in Italy and Canada.
Gross.
Yeah.
Italian, two of the worst.
Italian,
ethnicities.
French, Canadian. Yeah, that's not a great. It's not a
French Canadian.
Yeah,
Yikes.
the worst Canadians too.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, I just think it's the most effective way to undermine an entire nation of people.
Well, because they're undermining us through TikTok and fentanyl, basically.
Yeah. Well, I forgot about TikTok. Yeah.
How could you forget about TikTok?
I'm not actually on TikTok, so
I don't really use it either. I have an account, and someone posts videos for me every now and then.
Oh, you're one of those important people.
Not really. It's just a friend. I just don't use it, and I just don't want to get on there.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone down. I've wasted like 2 hours before just scrolling through reels on Instagram before, and I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah, I just don't find TikTok to be interesting. I mean, it's not that it's like I think you have to get super into it in order to really get it. I think you have to. There's like all this kind of like accumulated knowledge of each part of these things that spread. Like start referencing other things.
Like just building your algorithm. You're talking about?
No, I mean like people will make these videos but part of the jokes that they're making are like inside jokes based on other trends that have happened in TikTok.
Okay.
And so
yeah.
the background knowledge that you need in order to like get it all, like sometimes people will be dying, you know, watching, like 3 people could be looking at a phone, dying, laughing, and then I'm like, show me, and they're like, they show me some TikTok, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. And it's, but I think they have layers of knowledge. I'm like, I'm just not willing to get, and I've tried, I would like to. It's like I would kind of like to see what the algorithm does with me. I would kind of like to see like what do I wind up liking. But all I've ever done is like have a couple of comics that I've enjoyed their TikToks or.
And I don't know if it's one of those things like, are they cultivating stuff you like, or are they just like hammering you with stuff so much that's what you end up liking?
But I'm kind of interested, or even with YouTube, I'm kind of interested in that, like how people people wind up having these things that they just like discover, like, oh, I like watching people stealth camp, and you're like, and it's just they didn't have that before, but
a few of those,
they go through a thing, and I've never really had that, like, and I am curious, like, what would my things be if I actually spent some time on TikTok and YouTube and got it to? Because
I don't think you have to spend that much time, right? I think they cultivate an algorithm pretty quick.
You say that, but it's not like I've spent no time on these things. Like
I don't think I've ever been on TikTok.
I prefer to just have the ones that people put on Instagram from
That's
TikTok.
what I've seen it from other platforms. Yeah.
Or if someone just sends me a specific TikTok video, I'll watch that. But I don't want to get on there. But apparently, you know, like in China, if you watch TikTok on there, it just like teaches you languages and skills and things. And then they don't have the garbage TikTok. And so then for us, they're like,
they have like
here's the highly addicted.
Oh
yeah. In China,
it
like teaches you, you know, history and calligraphy and whatever.
Well,
it's like
another check in my box that they're sending highly addictive stuff over here to fuck with us.
It sucks because the Chinese are so good at so many things, and I wish that they weren't such like. They're really successful in so many ways, but they oppress the fuck out of the people.
Well, and here's the thing, fentanyl. I don't want. Also, I have a lot of experience with this because I was a heroin addict, and I've done fentanyl a bunch of times. It's the best
on
one.
Purpose.
Yeah,
Did you do fentanyl on purpose?
the last time I overdosed. I had bought just pure. Well, I don't know if it was pure, but it was just fentanyl.
Oh, they're cutting fentanyl with other things now.
No, you can just buy fentanyl too.
No, I just like that because you go, oh, I don't know if it was pure. It's like I never thought about.
Yeah, maybe there was baby laxative in the fentanyl. I don't know. I just like collapsed, and then had to get Narcan back to life. But
well, because how much fentanyl did you do?
I mean, not like a key bump.
But that's what I'm saying. Fentanyl is really, really, really concentrated. So that's part of why it's so dangerous is because getting the dose right, I think, is really difficult.
Well, yeah, of course.
And so when you buy pure fentanyl, like you should hope it's cut with something if you're going to do a key bump, I think. Like, obviously, you OD'd.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is, but just the rest of it doesn't make sense. Like if you're killing off your customers,
right.
If the end game is profit, which in drug dealing it is, right? If that's the true end game, you're killing people off, and you're just bringing so much attention and heat, as the people say, down on you by doing it. It doesn't make sense.
But has there been any heat on the Chinese?
No.
So then there's no heat for them if that's
true.
True.
That's again point for me.
But you're saying. But you're saying it would bring down heat if people were dying, but it is people are dying.
Well,
so there
it is, but it's not. It's all going towards the cartels. Like they'll bust a pill mill in you're just over the border of Mexico, and they'll be like, oh, there's enough fentanyl in this place to overdose everyone in the United States.
Yeah,
and then they just take them, and then it's all, and the cartels the ones selling, but they're getting their fentanyl, their ingredients for fentanyl, almost exclusively from China.
Okay,
it's the very sneaky covert, and I think it's.
But it can't be covert if you know that they're getting the supplies from China.
Well, I mean, you can very easily tell where people are buying chemicals from.
We get most things from China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, most of our pharmaceutical, everything comes from China, I believe.
Okay. So then what I could see, because you say you don't think people would kill their customers, but I could see drug dealers having a short-term thinking where they're like, oh, it's so cheap to transport this fentanyl, like we won't kill people.
I mean, not like cartels are.
Wait, fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid drug approved by the FDA, used for analgesic, anesthetic, 100 times more potent than if it's more potent than heroin. Yeah. So if you do a key bump of something 100 times more potent than morphine, you're gonna OD.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was on you.
Yeah. Well, no, well, yeah, I was planning on, yeah.
Did you Google it first?
No, I was planning on, oh man. All right. I was planning on killing myself.
Oh, okay.
That was
You
the whole
meant to
thing.
kill yourself.
No,
Okay.
not that time. I was
Just
I was
in
hanging out
general.
with someone. I was going to do it the next day. And I was hanging out with someone who I wanted to see before I did that. And they were being really annoying and kind of shitty. So I'm like, well, I'll just do a tiny little bump. And then, I won't get mad at this person before. And then, the rest is history.
Well, it's also like, when you're generally suicidal, then you just kind of are careless with your life, and that's a lot of people just do drugs until they just wind up dying.
Yeah,
it's like it's not like you're intentionally always trying to kill yourself when you OD, but sometimes when you OD,
well, I mean, when you're
reckless.
addicted to, especially opiates, I feel like you don't care.
Yeah.
If you did, you'd be testing stuff and.
Yeah.
Because even the paramedics are like, anything you're buying these days, unless it's the guy said, unless it's black tar, is going to have fentanyl in it.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Man, test your drugs, kids. Because you can just get test strips.
I think so. I've never used a test strip.
Well, but you're sober now.
Yeah.
But yeah, for anyone who is going to be doing drugs, God, you got to get these test strips.
Yeah, well, I heard they're putting it in they're functions of it in I don't know if it's like actual weed or
What?
Yeah, I've heard that that people put it's
Sprinkling
better
fentanyl in the weed
on flowers, and then also synthetics
in our vape pens and stuff.
Yeah, it's turning up everywhere. People are OD. I mean, I think a lot of it is people. I mean, a lot of it is people that just buy opiates. And okay, I'll just do half because it's probably fentanyl. But a lot of it's people unsuspecting. Like, I'm buying Coke or I'm buying something that's completely different. And then it's in there and then they just drop dead.
All right. So basically, it's maybe, you're saying maybe the Chinese, who developed fentanyl?
Yeah, I probably should have researched that. I don't know. I don't know where. I know it's been around for. It was an elephant tranquilizer. They would use it to put down to do surgery on elephants, I think.
Oh,
so it was like an anesthesia for that, and they had that something super potent, and everything else.
Okay. Oh, in 59, intravenous shit.
Operating rooms in large animals.
Because of the vet. Okay.
It's
but Dr. Paul Janssen wasn't Chinese, I'm guessing. So Janssen or whatever, whether he was here.
Well, no, but
I
just they do a lot of medical mass production.
Right. Things. I'm just wondering how it got. So did they get to the point where they were like, well, yeah, when did it go from people using it for elephants to people abusing it? Can we find that?
Well, it's people late stage cancer patients, they'll give them fentanyl patches that you can put. That's like a time release thing. Like you slap it on your arm and but it's people who are dying, in incredible pain. Those things, you can just take them, crack them open, take the gel, rub it on yourself, and you get super high. And then you could just, with a drug, you can synthesize it in any type of way.
So it's legally manufactured and distributed in the United States. So we might be getting our supplies from China, but then we are actually manufacturing it here.
Yeah.
But is it also being manufactured in other countries and then snuck in?
The amounts that are illegally coming in here, smuggled in other drugs, they're tracing those back to China.
Okay, they are tracing back the ingredients to China.
Yes.
And so you think the Chinese...
I think it's the smartest terrorist attack. Because it's perfect. Americans love drugs. We do everything to excess.
But is it a terrorist attack? Are the cartels just ordering it from them, going, "Hey, give us some of that fentanyl you guys can make"?
Probably.
Is it really
but they're probably
attack,
they're sending it over here. We're making money off the cartels, and we're also killing off 100,000 people that we want everything they have, or that want to.
Well, we don't want to weaken the country so that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Weaken the infrastructure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a nefarious thing. They're sitting over there rubbing their hands together saying but it's it's a perfect way to weaken the infrastructure.
I mean, I'm just not sure if they're calling people up going, "Hey, we got this new drug that we want you to say," or we got cheap ingredients for this drug that you could sell, or if it's just a thing where they manufacture it because they happen to, and they're more than happy to go, "Oh, you guys want a bunch more fentanyl to sell to Americans?"
But I think
sure.
I think to assume that they aren't aware or they don't know this happening or aren't pushing it a little bit, they everything is state sponsored there.
Mm-hmm.
All the labs are under the control of the government, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a communist country, so they know exactly what. I feel like they know exactly.
I'm sure
what they're
they're
doing.
happy to be providing lots of shitty.
I may have worded it wrong to try to get like a.
Okay, yeah. It's estimated China is responsible for over 90% of illicit fentanyl found in the United States. All right, hell yeah. Well,
that's a lot. 90%, a lot. I'm not a math guy, but
between fentanyl and social media and everything else that's happened in this country, I mean, everyone's moving away from the dollar right now. Like, they're winning.
I feel like that's a really big deal, and I know
it is a huge deal.
I know nothing about. I'm just like,
part of the reason why America is able to do so well economically is because people use our dollars.
Okay.
It makes everything a lot cheaper for us, and it just makes our dollar worth a lot more. And if other countries stop using that, which they are, India's using fucking rupees again or whatever. All the Russians and Chinese and people are all talking about doing their own thing and not using the dollar anymore.
Does that kind of move us closer to like a digital currency? Is that?
Well, I think what's about to happen, because the government is already rolling out their stupid fucking digital currency, so we're gonna have this like fractured economy increasingly. I think where there are all these different things you can buy. Some of them you can spend cash on and credit on. Some you can do credit or government money. Some you can do only government money. Some you can do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some you're going to have to pay for in rupees. Some, like it's, and then at some point, would there be a one world government that then controls some type of currency? I mean, we could be heading toward that, but I mean, if anything,
have you ever gotten this conspiratorial in an episode of your podcast?
No, but it's not even conspiratorial. I mean, it's like,
well, we start out with like the Chinese are trying to take us over, and now we're talking.
Well,
about...
we know that the Chinese want to rule the fucking world. You know, the Russians and the Chinese, and people are tired of America walking all over them.
Yes.
And, we've exploited
that's what I'm
the
saying.
rest
Like,
of
it's the perfect, it's essentially the perfect crime. Because, I mean, how would you, short of, like, invading the country and, like, blowing up their fentanyl lab, you're just, and it's mostly younger generation, so you're killing off a whole next generation of people.
Right.
It's really smart. I'm sure we've done stuff like this in other countries,
Yeah, I think I know we do. I think most of the stuff we do is
we did this.
ham-handed,
We did this
though.
in one of our own. We did this in our own country with crack, right?
Right.
Like that's kind of like a
Right.
sort of a known thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Nixon straight up admitted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's teach that. I don't know really critical race
we
theory.
gave
I don't know,
them-
but we should probably teach that Nixon introduced crack. Well, made sure that crack would be penalized.
Maybe didn't introduce it, but left it out where it could easily be gotten to.
I forget.
It's like,
I forget
hey,
whether
don't touch
Nixon
that.
actually did introduce the crack, or if he just was like, this drug, let's make sure we penalize it more, and then show that. But I think they actually did introduce the crack.
Well, I know they were. We were selling it to like fund the Sandinistas or something like that. I don't know. That's a lot of writing.
Yeah.
Whoa. But yeah, I think the discrepancy was 7 times. It's kind of crack. Crack is.
Look up what was Nixon's quotes from the tapes that they released, where, because you hear him just straight up saying like,
crack was.
Oh, we did this to set the blacks up to make them look
well,
bad.
legally, it's 7 times 7 times more of a punishment for a gram of crack than it is for a gram of coke. And the only difference between crack and coke is baking soda and the way you manufacture it.
Yeah, here we go. Aide says Nixon's war on drugs targeted blacks. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to either be against the war or a black, but by getting the public to... Could you click on that? Okay. By getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. Yeah, Ehrlichman. I mean, so, shit. But so we've done that to our own people. I think the Chinese are, whether they're kind of evil fingersing about this, or they're just like, oh, hey, like, you guys want a bunch of cheap fentanyl that you're going to sell to you guys? Yay, sure, for sure. Yeah. And then, TikTok, and then, I mean, like, America's, we're going to have to do something if we don't want to.
It's like we're kind of an easy target. Like,
we
have this
also
great
need to be
military,
knocked out.
right?
We also need to be knocked down a few pegs because we are exploiting people all over the world.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be living this pretty. This is disgusting. We use more than our fair share of everything.
Yeah. I mean, we're for sure not the only people doing that.
No, but
we do revel in that a little bit more than a lot of other places. Yeah, for sure.
We could consume less.
Yeah, well,
I wish we didn't have to do it because we're forced to.
yeah.
But, you know, you guys should have thought of that earlier.
Because somebody enjoys to do heroin once in a while. Now they, you know. What is this?
I don't know.
China's role in the fentanyl crisis. Oh.
Okay, yeah, the CCP business model fueling the fentanyl crisis. La, la, la. The Brookings Institute. Okay. China's role in poaching and wildlife. Oh.
And that's, like, I don't know, like, I'm sure there is a financial...
In addition to studying China's medical role, I've been directing over the past few years a new Brookings work stream on China's role in illegal economies and Chinese criminal groups around the world. Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
maybe we'll have someone come on who knows a lot about China.
That would be cool. Because I wonder if it's stuff like, you know, I'm sure selling fentanyl to the cartels is illegal in China, but if it's one of those things where they're like, just we're not going to, you know, kind of turn a blind eye because how much can you make? Because just if this much can OD people, how much can you, like, how financially viable can it be because you're not selling, like, you don't need that much of it. So It seems more of like there's another reason because you can't, you know, heroin, you can sell, you know, kilos of it. This, like a kilo of pure fentanyl would kill everybody.
I guess, like, if you wanted to cut your drugs, what you would need to do is have it be, you know, whatever percentage the actual drug that you say you're selling, and then a tiny bit of fentanyl, so that you would still get this powerful drug effect, but not kill the person. And then you still need to add the baby aspirin or whatever because you need to make up the volume. So if you did it that way, then that would be a way to have really cheap drugs, but you just need it to be just a sprinkle of fentanyl, and then you still need to cut it with something else because otherwise you wouldn't want it to be half fentanyl, half whatever. Yeah. Everyone would die. But so if you just got it kind of right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could be right. Let's see if we can get anybody on the podcast who knows a lot about drugs and or China.
Like a DEA agent or something. See what they...
Ooh, I don't think we want a DEA agent.
Well, I don't want to be on.
We need a really cool DEA agent.
Get like the real life Hank Schrader, whoever that guy is.
You don't know either?
No, I know who he is. Oh. He's Hank from Breaking Bad, but you need like a real life version of that guy.
I see. Cool.
Well, he was kind of a dick on that show too. So,
all right, now don't you have a second controversial opinion for us today?
Yeah, abortion bans, Texas. Knock it off. Stop. We need to.
Oh, you're against abortion bans?
Yes.
I thought you were going to come on today with a hardcore anti-abortion stance.
No, I thought the Chinese are terrorists attacking us with drugs was probably the most hardcore I was going to get.
Okay.
I'm just I don't even think, and I do apologize because I don't think this is. I mean, I'm sure it is very controversial to some people, but I don't think it's controversial at all.
Well, to some people it is controversial.
Yes, I get it. People that think children are being murdered, I understand that's a very controversial thing. But after having this last year was rough, so I went through an abortion and drug overdose in less than a year span. So
yeah. So what happened? You were able to get the woman was able to get the
woman
abortion?
was able to get an abortion. But the crazy thing, because it's 6 weeks here. That is the you have to do it. And I didn't realize this, and maybe you didn't either.
I probably did.
When you go to the gynecologist, I don't know. I think this one might surprise you. When you go to the gynecologist, do you know how they frame that 6 weeks?
Well, it's from the beginning of your last period.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I had no idea. But that can be,
Yeah.
So you can go in and be like, oh, you have 2 days to get this done. Or whatever.
Right. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's what those of us who've been upset have been saying. 6 weeks is almost nothing.
I knew 6 weeks was nothing, but I thought it just would take that long.
No, because you don't know you're pregnant, because you'd have to not have a period. Now you realize, oh, you've actually technically been pregnant for 4.5 weeks or whatever, and then they don't have an appointment for you. Well, not only that, some Texas judge just decided that it's now federally they can't produce. He's revoked the FDA approval of the abortion pill.
Okay, because that's what she did. She got the pill.
Yeah. Well, everybody gets the fucking pill because it's less of a nightmare. So now,
but I mean, is it? When you're so far along, that doesn't work.
I think eventually, yes. Yeah. But the pill works for for a good while. I'm not really sure exactly how long,
Okay.
but yeah, you definitely, if you're doing it within the first 6 weeks, you're definitely going to do the pill.
Right.
And so, but now this judge, there's only like 6 days left before they'll no longer be able to supply. And in fact, by the time people will be listening to this will already have gone into effect. I guess. Well, it depends, because this is going to the appeals court. Okay.
Oh, well.
As mentioned, Plan B works best within the first 3 days.
But
Oh, that's Plan B.
Plan B is something different.
No, yeah,
right?
we're talking about abortion pills. So yeah, but now it's going to go to appeals, and maybe they'll overturn it. But as it stands right now, in a few days, people may not be able to buy abortion pills anymore. Now, states where it's legal, even in states where it's legal, you won't be able to buy them, because he's revoking. He's revoked the FDA approval.
Okay.
Because he's saying that.
Where is this coming out of? I don't know if you already said that or not. Well, like what?
I just know it's a Texas judge, but I'm not really sure exactly.
They're fucking everything. They fucked over the student loan forgiveness that's being blocked by a Texas state Supreme Court or something like that. They're fucking everything. You guys are fucking everything up down here.
Oh, it's just some people. Yeah, because he was saying that they had called it medicine for a medical condition, and he's saying, hey, being pregnant isn't a medical condition the way AIDS is, so you can't say that. So that they got the approval of it. But
well,
yeah,
I guess
it's one of these
like,
things where it's the same thing with the Roe v. Wade. Where it's like, oh, technically they're right about the concept, but now can we actually pass some laws just saying, yeah, but it's okay to fucking kill your baby? Who cares?
it is crazy because they can come up with these we're just going to revoke this, and then it happens, and I would hope that would be overturned on appeal. But an appeal process can take 5 to 10 years or however,
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly. So, but some...
Was it Idaho? They just, interstate travel to get an abortion is now considered a felony? Or it was one of those weird states up there where they have a lot of, white supremacists.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Out in the wood. I think it was Idaho.
I know that's a concern, that stuff like that's happening, but I'm not sure the details about that. I will say that a lot of places have stocked up on abortion pills so that to avoid these problems. So hopefully, I know Washington State, their Planned Parenthood or whoever, somebody up there, they have 3 years supply of abortion pills, because you won't be able to buy it from suppliers anymore. People won't be able to supply it anymore. They have to stop production of it, I guess. But if you have it in your state, if it's legal to get abortion pills in your state, you could still get it. It's just that you won't be able to buy it anymore.
Well, I know, especially here, they make all these. It's not like you can just go in. Hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm of sound mind and body. I do not want to keep this pregnancy. I want to terminate it. They also make you pay. It's like $900 to get some kind of an ultrasound. They make you do all these steps, so it's that are hurdles to you get. There's always that old excuse, people are using, women are essentially using abortions as birth controls, when it is one of the most traumatic experiences. The girl that we were both raised, neither one of us are anymore, but I was raised Catholic. She was raised pretty Christian. It fucks with your head having this done, and it fucks you up for a while. So just stop. Just knock it off. Stop doing it.
Well, I think that that's the thing. It's we need it to be legal, but it's kind of the old Hillary Clinton thing where it's it really should be safe, legal, and rare.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's I do wish people would be less cavalier about casual sex with people they don't have any desire to raise babies with, especially because so many women are fucking loser men that they would never, but they're letting them come inside of them.
That feels a little personal.
It is. And it is to all of you stupid men. And I mean, not all of you, most of you guys suck. No one should sleep with you. No one should make a baby with you. No one should let you come inside them. Not until you figure your shit out. Most men, maybe minimum age for most men, I would be about 35 before you're ready to come inside of a woman, because you need to have your shit together.
Here's the thing, and you're not wrong.
Thank you.
Hurtful, but you're not wrong. I don't think I came inside of her. I think I got her pregnant from pre-com.
Well, and that's the thing. But you guys, so at least don't let these men come inside you. But even with the pre-com, even with the pulling out, whatever, it's just penis and vagina sex to me actually should be something that's really sacred and something that happens between people who are in love. It's good to be more enjoyable that way. And then, you could
also,
do other things.
Why
don't you guys finger each other and go down on each other?
You're a gold star lesbian, right? Okay. So your opinion not super valid.
No,
on
it
this one,
is
but,
valid. That's the thing. I'm an objective outsider. Of course, it's nice, but you're just trying to get away with something. And you're trying to say, I want all of the pleasure and fun of sex, but I want none of the responsibility. So I am sympathetic to the conservative side of this that says, there should be fucking... you guys are not taking this seriously. You get up there and joke about murdering babies all the time, and you have
I do not.
I'm saying this is the conservative opinion toward liberals.
I would never
Sure.
make jokes about that.
I mean, I make them too. I've made horrible jokes about abortion, but I'm saying I understand that kind of conservative feeling of like, fuck you guys. You're murdering babies cavalierly. You are slitting their throats with no regard to the sanctity
of life. That's what I'm saying.
Life.
It's not cavalierly. It was
right. That's what people need to realize. It's horrific to have an abortion.
Yeah.
Even taking the pill sucks ass for the woman. And I wish women would realize like that it is not a good idea to play around with maybe I'm going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, I can just get an abortion is not a good
One,
plan.
I feel like I should also say, because I'm not a huge piece of shit and I do kind of have my shit together, is that when she went through...
But you're like 39, you want to.
When she went through this, I stayed with her out of just because I wanted her to be okay. And I didn't want her to be... And also I didn't want to be alone myself because it really fucked with my head.
Yeah, it's sad.
How many people listen to this? Because I still haven't told my family about that.
Oh, your family's not going to listen to this.
Yeah, well, my brothers might, but... Because at the time, my family was super excited because my youngest brother, who's like 10 years younger than me, they had just, like, they were having their first kid. I'm like, well, I'm for sure not going to tell them now. I'm like, this is, one will cancel out the other. But, it still fucks with my head. Because, like, every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, it'd be this old at this, you know what I mean? Like, I really had no say in it. She kind of just dropped it on me, and that was her decision to make. So I wasn't, you know what I mean? But, I did ask her if she was sure. That was about as far as I went. And then
she looked you up and down and was like,
yeah. She had the balls to say, I'm not ready. Like she said that about herself. I'm like, yeah, she said that about herself. And I was like, fuck you.
How old is she?
She's older than me.
Oh.
She's, well, no, I mean, not crazy. She's a year older than me. So she was 40 when it happened, which is also, there's health risks there too.
Yeah, there's health risks. But it's also just like, yeah, I mean, normally if a woman said, I'm not ready, I would say, absolutely. It's her fucking life. Do you know how destroyed her life is going to be for having a kid? It's absolutely fair. But if you say it at 40, it's like, well, then you're never going to be ready.
Well, then
that's
I
not
think,
sincere.
I hope this was like kind of a weird postpartum thing. I don't know if you get that after like terminated pregnancy, but like we had broken up like the day before and then we're still kind of friends. Man, this is really coming full circle. She's the person I was with when I OD'd on drugs too. Same person. Like she was saying that she wanted to get pregnant a year out, like a year. She was hoping, she hasn't yet, but she was hoping that she would, which also was like kind of a gut punch.
But you guys were doing drugs.
No, she was not. No,
Oh, okay.
No. She's got her shit together.
Right, okay.
I relapsed on drugs after that. This wasn't because of that.
Okay.
But she was just the person I went to see before.
I see.
But yeah, it was it really, really fucks you up. It's like, and for women, I imagine has to, because that's the thing growing inside you. There's got to be a connection that I could never understand.
Yeah. But it even fucks you up. So that's saying a lot. And for the women, it absolutely does. And I mean, you know, for so many women, it's like, it's just so obvious when you get pregnant that you're like, I'm not having a baby at all right now. And I'm certainly not having this guy's baby. And it's an easy decision to make in that way, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
It's hard on your body and it's hard psychologically. And especially like, because most people do want to make a baby, even if on just some level.
Yeah. I always thought if that situation had arisen, I'd be like, yup, for sure. But I was like, I thought about it a lot. It was, like I said, it wasn't my decision to make, but if she had said she was going to keep it, I would have been fine. And I would have wanted to be a part of that kid's life. I don't know if her and I would have, you know, probably not, but that kid, I would have been in that kid's life anyway I could have. And it's still like, it just happened not that long ago. I was like, oh, it would have been a year old today, or like, around this time. And it was, yeah.
Well, if that's something you really want, you should work on finding a relationship for that.
I don't know if it's something that I really want. Yeah. I think it would have been something that like, I don't know that I could consciously be like, okay, it's time to, but I mean, if it happens, you deal with it like anything else. But yeah.
I just don't think we should be making kids like that. If it happens, you deal with it. You know what I mean? Well, like if you're going to do it, let's do it consciously and purposely.
But that's probably 85. Like most people don't plan You ever like people who plan on having? They're fucking weird. It's like,
Not
oh,
all
we're
of
gonna
them.
have a kid. You know,
No,
like
lots of them are just
we're
a
gonna
little bit
schedule
older.
time to fuck, and like most people who have kids are, it's like it just happens, and like they're great parents. Well, like my youngest brother, I think him and his wife were married. They were married for a year or two before they had a kid, and they're great parents.
Right, but that wasn't an accident. Then they
Right,
knew
that's what I'm
were-
saying. They planned it out.
Yeah,
But
lots of
I have
people.
a lot of friends who like when they told me they were having kids, I'm like, that kid's fucked. But they're great parents now. You know, you
Yeah.
kind of learn on the fly.
Sure, I'm just saying I don't think it would hurt if more people were more purposeful.
sure.
And also people should just have fewer kids,
Yeah, 100%. Stop having so many babies.
especially if you're uneducated. Whatever. Poor, whatever. Just I don't know. I mean,
Especially if you're poor white trash. Stop.
No, it's just because, like the more educated women are, the fewer children they have. And so it's like just kind of this shitty inverse thing. Like I'm not trying to talk about eugenics. I'm just saying it sucks that like the like poorest, least educated people are the ones most likely to have more kids. Like so
It's
their
always
kids are
been
just
like
going to
that,
have
yeah.
less of a good chance in life and then might be more dependent on this. Like I don't know. But maybe someone can come on and tell me why I'm wrong about that. That's a controversial
I don't think you
opinion.
are wrong about that. That's very controversial. But I mean, there is like some people should not procreate. I mean, that's,
Most people.
Yeah.
For a while. Wasn't it like I just started reading it because I know Klaus Schwab and some other guy came out in 2020, like in like the summer of 2020, they came out with this great
saying
reset.
Charles Schwab, Klaus. Oh, that's the
Klaus Schwab.
That's the World Economic
Economic Forum
Okay,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying Charles Schwab. I'm like the
Did I
insurance.
say that?
No, well, I couldn't tell if you said Charles or Klaus. And I was.
I don't. Well, whatever I said, I meant
Yeah.
Klaus. Yeah. So he came out and just was like, "Yeah, we really should work on getting the population down to 1 billion people." And
What are we at right now? Like 6 billion?
8. 6. How old is your news? 6 is when we were growing up.
I don't know. I don't keep track of population.
People
control.
mention it a lot. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're that high, what's the difference between 6 and 8, really?
No, it's bad. I mean, because we can. I've heard some estimate the other day where it's like maybe 50 billion will be okay, but beyond that, it's going to be really, really bad. So if we're going to,
How could 50 billion people be okay?
there's a lot of space and stuff, and we can keep feeding people shittier calories. I guess I don't know.
That's true.
But yeah, it's not ideal. But it's just these people say, no, we need kids because, you need the young people to pay for the old people. And we're about to have all these boomers are all retiring now. And how are we going to pay for that without more and more kids? And I'm like, well, that's a shitty Ponzi scheme that or pyramid scheme basically that is unsustainable because eventually we're going to get to the 50 billion people. Even if you think we can get to 50 billion people, then what?
But
Unless
is
we're
it-
actually going to other fucking planets, but we're not even kind of close to
Yeah.
anything like that.
Is it the problem that people are fucking too much, or is it the problem that like now people live way longer?
People are living too long, but also like so everyone acts like whenever people are defending that, they're going, well, we need growth in order to pay for all these retirees, right? So we need more young people to pay for the old. And it's like, okay, or we could get rid of the old people. We could say, hey, here's an idea.
Just Logan's Run, everybody, and
What was that? I didn't read that.
oh,
What
it's a
happens?
movie. It's where they have the lottery system. When you turn, I think in 55, they just your numbers up and they kill you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think we need to do it that way. I just think we should make it really popular to exit life through just doing drugs.
Yeah.
Like, but when you're older,
100%.
yeah, just give people kind of like an opiate package. Let's just make it available.
Assisted suicide.
Assisted suicide, but just so you get to the point where you go, because a lot of us, especially the Social Security, unless they figure something out, which they won't, is going to run out in 2033, and so like we're just at a point where it's not sustainable, and so if we get and people living longer and paying for this, we just can't do this anymore. I think we need to opt out and say, look, if everyone just starts. If, you're too old and you're in pain and you can't pay for it and whatever. Okay, you can just take these drugs.
Well, here's the thing. I think like the people that are like, oh, all life is sacred, even like it's people in this weird like because I think when you're young you have this idealist thing like, oh, when I get to a certain I want to go out hard and like whatever. But when you get older, when you get to that middle age, you're like, oh no, we have to protect all this life. We have to protect the unborn and the elderly. We also lost my grandmother this year. She's 94. Favorite person in the world.
I'm sorry.
My absolute favorite. Thank you. She's 94. she wanted to die for the last 10 years.
Right.
She was sick. She hated it. She
Right.
hated, I mean, she liked seeing her failing, but she was just in pain all the time.
Right, and I just think, so it's not that people need to kill themselves at 60, but instead of 94, maybe it's 80.
It should be up to,
it's
as long as the
84.
person is of sound mind and body.
Some people are of sound mind, and it's nice to have some old people around to hear their wisdom, and I think we should revere the elders who actually are able to stay around and not take the drug out. We should listen to them more. We should.
But I guarantee you, they're going to come, unless something like, just a I-beam falls on their head or something and kills it. Like, you're going to get to a certain point where you can't do anything anymore. And then at that point, you're just going to lay around and tell people stories all day. I mean, they don't want to be here either.
Right. Yeah, let people gracefully bow out. We need religions to stop teaching them that that's a bad thing. We need to start revering it and say, hey, it's cool. Like in Midsommar, these people jump from a fucking rock.
Don't do that.
We don't need to do that.
So
I know. That movie disturbed me for months. But it's like, okay, instead of that, we could just give people a nice little opiate package that you just keep increasing how much you take and you really enjoy your way out.
Well, I mean, that kind of is
what we do, essentially. For people,
but it should be like, you should be able to make that decision way earlier.
Right. We shouldn't have to wait until we've played whack-a-mole with every possible way that we can pump you, keep you alive, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on your last few weeks of care. I mean, instead of that, just, hey, life's getting shittier. Anytime you want to, dude, we have this nice thing. You'll just take increasingly more
have like
morphine or whatever.
Living funerals for
fentanyl.
People where they can.
Yeah, we'll have the living funeral and we'll say, hey, I'm gonna go on my little path, and you could bliss the fuck out until you die. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'd start doing that like next month.
Yeah, and some people could. I don't know. I don't know if we even need
but
to
I'd
have
stay
a
on it for a
minimum
few
age on
years because
that.
it would be pretty cool just to just get morphine all the time. That'd be awesome.
I'm just saying, if we really are going to do this thing where it's like, hey, we can't have this many people on the planet, then it's like, okay, we'll see how many people will just self opt out.
It does feel like at some point there's going to be
us.
some kind of shift to correct that, though, right? Like whether it's another new plague that actually
that's what I'm saying.
takes out a bunch of people, or like a tsunami,
right? Because the elites are just gonna invent a plague to kill us or something. They'll do something to kill us eventually if they have to, in order to enjoy the planet themselves. And once they get the robotics technology to where they need it to be, which are almost already there.
And I don't think they're that far.
They're
away
not that far
from the point where they can be like, a genetic engineering is just like no diseases anymore. You can live to be 300 years old. Like, I mean, I think if they had that, it wouldn't be available to everyone anyways.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think that would seem like crazy science fiction back in the 50s. I don't think it's that far away at this point.
No.
Right? I don't think genetic engineering's a thing.
Right.
They just can't go in and MS, take that out But
right.
they're not that far away from being able to do
read
that.
something that there was a new discovery recently that took away another one of these blocks that there's a kind of a lot of things that make it hard to live past 100 or whatever. But they found another one where they're like, oh, we could get people up to 120 regularly now. So, I don't know.
No one who's seen someone go out at 94 would say, 120, 30 more years.
It's not like you're hot at 94. It's not like you're comfortable at 94. It's not like you're doing fun things. Just fucking
off there
out gracefully.
Every conversation I have with my grandmother for the last 10 years of her life, and we talk several times a week, she'd be like, well, I'd like to go. Those people do not. It's misery. Every breath is misery.
Right. And why are we spending all these resources on people who want to be dead and who aren't able to contribute anything really anyway? Yeah. I mean, again, I'm sure it's nice, but do you feel like you got a lot out of the last 10 years of your grandma? You say she's your favorite person. How was that for you if she had died 10 years earlier? How would that have been for you?
I would have come to terms with that. Because here's the thing. I had to go home to say goodbye to her 4 times. Because every time I would go home, this is it.
You do get to that point with a loved one. And it's one of those horrifying things where if you watch a loved one slowly dying over a long period of time, you do get to the point where you've cried and mourned and said goodbye. And then they're still living.
I used to cry when I got off the phone with her because I would wish her to die because I knew that's what she wanted, but it still fucked me up.
You wish her to die, and you wish you didn't have to keep being fucking sad every day about it, and so
Yep.
I just I feel like people hear this and think that I'm being heartless or whatever. I'm like, I actually think that it would be better for everyone if people would just kind of if we could culturally just accept that at some point life really sucks and it's not going to get any better, at least physically.
You crest that hill at some point.
You crest a hill, and it's like, it's okay. You know, if you're still enjoying life, if you're still gardening, and you're still, some people are 99 and they're running marathons.
Yeah.
Great for them.
Yeah, those
keep
5
alive.
people that's happening to.
But
good.
most of these
Keep
people
going.
are living shitty loser lives their whole time anyway. I mean, they work jobs they hate. They just watch TV and eat junk food. Fucking that person can kill themselves whenever they want to.
Yeah, for sure. Again, that one felt a little personal.
And last, I don't know, but that's the thing. Like for some people, it's like, dude, you know, you could turn your life around and you could make something better happen. You're young enough.
Yeah.
So maybe there should be a minimum age on this, because before that, it's like, hey, could you please try to live your fucking life?
You can't do a minimum age, because what if someone has some crazy disease and they want to go out? You know, you really, like, why can't we? You know, there's 6 billion, but why can't we take it on a case by case basis? We could. We absolutely could do that on a case. You know,
and maybe we could. Yeah, it's like, again. So I don't think we need that many people. If there are a lot of people who are, you know, even in their 20s, and they really are like, I'll do the heroin until I die package, maybe it's okay. If we just do that for a minute, maybe we'll kind of get rid of a lot of the suicidal genes and everyone will be happier.
Yeah, well, I mean, that, you know, speaking of drugs, it'd be the same thing as like legalizing all drugs. And, you know, we have no problem putting people on methadone or Suboxone for the rest of their lives, or as long as, you know, so why not just legalize drugs? And if someone wants to do that with heroin, they can do that.
Well, there's a new drug that is helping people get off of methadone.
I've heard about this, yes.
Can't remember what it's called right now, but
which is
apparently it's not legal in the U.S. yet, but it is.
Are you talking about Ibogaine?
Yeah, Ibogaine, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's like a psychedelic. That's like a crazy... it's supposed to actually... I do kind of want to do it.
I want to do it.
I still crave...
I just want to check it out.
Man, I still crave drugs. Drinking, I don't really miss at all, but drugs, every minute of every day, I miss, because they're so awesome. But that one's supposed to like rewire your neural pathways.
Yeah, that would be great if you could try it and see if it'll help you not to crave anymore. Because that's the thing. I mean, that's why I don't do heroin, because I don't want to compare the rest of my life to how heroin felt.
Because it's so good.
Because it's so good. I believe everyone when they tell me that, and I've experienced enough drugs to know, like, to be able to extrapolate how good that would feel.
But that's the whole point of methadone and Suboxone are essentially the same. They do the same thing, right? It hits those receptors, and the point of it is you're supposed to, like, you find out how much someone was doing, you build them up to a certain amount of the methadone or Suboxone, and then you stay on that for a while, and then you're supposed to slowly wean yourself off. But I'm fairly certain they leave that up to the addict, which, you know, if you give...
Well, it's the same thing way we are about everything. I mean, you really, even if you have like depression, OCD, or anything, like when they give you an SSRI or this or that or the other, the idea is that you would then be able to do some cognitive behavioral therapy or whatever, and then wean yourself off, because just like OCD, it's like it's an addiction as well. You do the compulsions, and then you downregulate so that they do less for you and have to keep doing them more and more. These are all kind of the same thing. You're supposed to use the drugs in order to...
It's not a solution.
Do the work and then wean off.
Yeah.
But then, you know, because the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry is like making money off you, none of them are really like, okay, maybe it's time to start doing less. Like,
or if you leave it up to a junkie...
Right.
They're never going to, you know, willingly put myself through withdrawals. No, thank you. I don't want to fucking do it. I mean, that's why I had friends who did methadone and Suboxone. I just went cold turkey and sweated through the withdrawals, because I heard...
Can you shoot methadone?
I'm sure it's liquid. Oh, they give it to you in pills, so yeah, you could.
It's funny to think of shooting up methadone.
It would methadone is crazy strong. Like, I used to take methadone to get high in between when I couldn't get heroin. The whole thing. But it's the withdrawals off methadone and Suboxone are supposed to be like...
They're even worse?
Worse than...
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and like, you're supposed to slowly wean yourself off, and so I'm going to be withdrawing for like... Even if it's 3 weeks of mild withdrawals, it's still hell that you're going through. And there's a whole psychological thing with withdrawal symptoms. Like, that's why heroin addicts will do anything not to go get sick.
I actually think this might all come together, because even if this sounds heartless, maybe it would have the effect that if everyone knew, if we had the sacred cultural institution called heroin suicide, whatever, but if it was understood that unless you die in a car accident or whatever, that, you know, most people go out this way, you get to a point where you go, okay, it's time to just start doing more and more opiates till I die. then maybe people wouldn't do them when they're younger because you go like it would become like really taboo to do it when you're younger. You know, that's what you do if you're killing yourself.
Right.
You don't do opiates.
Yeah,
you don't abuse opiates if you're young because that's like everyone knows this is the end of your life if you're doing it. So maybe it would actually help people to go, oh no, I don't want to do old people killing yourself drugs yet. You know, we would only use it, but you know, and we need
people killing.
Well, we need to only use it too for, you know, because it helps obviously in medical things, but then we need to make sure we're not doing this shit anymore. We're getting people hooked on opiates and then, but you know, so much of that was.
That was Purdue. Purdue
yeah.
got us in this situation. Those people should all be lined up against a wall and shot.
Or something more cruel than that.
Yeah, actually.
I think we should bring back cruel and unusual punishment for people who have
for the Sackler family. 100%.
These crimes where it's like
we should murder the Sackler family.
callously allowing like lots of people to be addicted and die like just for profit. Like there should be special cases where. We can at least bring hanging back.
Yeah, or firing
hangings.
squad, but like they shoot you to death with rubber bullets, so they just have to keep shooting you over and over again. It's like,
we'll do firing squad.
But yeah, I saw firsthand how that hit because when they first released OxyContin, two of the areas they focused on was like rural Virginia and rural Maine because we have a lot of like blue collar loggers and places like that. I had a friend in high school whose mom got. You remember those pill bottles that are like about this size?
Yeah,
she was getting one of those.
Not really, but okay.
Well, just a big pill bottle.
Pill bottles?
Yeah, you know what a pill.
But like a vitamins, or you talking about like a prescription pill?
Prescription pill bottle.
I don't feel like I've ever seen a prescription pill bottle that big.
Really? My mom used to get them with like Tylenol 600s because she has.
Oh, okay.
But she was getting one of those full of Oxy 80s a month for migraines, and they were just giving them to everybody for everything. So yeah, I grew up in a mill town in the woods of Maine, so we got fucking crushed with that shit. So yeah, it's taken. I mean, at least once a month now, I see there's like an and my town's only got like 3,000 people in it. I mean, at least once a month, there's someone who overdoses on something there. It's fatally overdoses. I'm sure there's a lot more than that are getting brought back, but it's fuck the Sacklers. The fact that nothing happened to them. I mean, they paid a big fine.
Well, they paid a portion of the profits.
Yeah,
right?
they paid a big $1 billion. Say it's $6 billion, they still made $50 billion.
Right. It doesn't. It's
those fines are essentially a tax that you have to pay to the government
to kill as many people as you want. No, it's like no. If you're going to be fining them, it should be for more than they made. Yeah. Off of killing people.
Some sort of
and they should be publicly executed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's like I only believe in the death penalty for white collar criminals who callously understand that they're killing people.
Like direct value. Like somebody goes into a house, kills a family, gets the death penalty. This guy has ruined untold amounts of families, murdered how many people, directly or indirectly. He's a rich guy, so he's probably hunted people for sport at some point in his life.
It's absolutely Holocaust-like.
Yeah.
It's the only thing is that instead of it being targeted toward a group that you want to genocide, it's a callous disregard for human life, understanding that these people will die and that you're just making money off of them.
Well, it is the group that
if hate crimes are special and should be whatever, like then crimes like that's crimes against humanity, man. Yeah. Like absolutely, there should be a fucking
should be like a war, like the Nuremberg trials.
Absolutely,
for that kind of shit. Yeah, because it's. We're that'll never go away. That's like deeply embedded. I mean, like the stuff you're seeing now with fentanyl is direct because if there hadn't been, I mean, certainly opium, heroin, that's been a thing for a long time, but we've never seen it on the scale that it's been now, and it is directly traced back to the Sacklers sending out pharmaceutical reps telling people that OxyContin's not addictive. You can do as much as you want. You won't get addictive unless you lick the coating off, and but like that is directly traced back to that.
So after everybody got into OxyContin, then fentanyl came in, and you're saying...
Well, what happened was and this is kind of like my specific path to opiates, I am not unique in this at all. This is almost, you start off doing like Percocets, whatever. I never actually really got into Oxy 80s because they made me sick, but most of my friends did. And then the thing that made Oxy 80s... what they were is they had like a time release thing on them, and that was you would take it if you were in pain, and it would release it over the course of a day. So it worked really great for pain. You'd still get addicted even if you did it like that. But what people were doing is they'd lick that coating off of, and then you could crush them and snort them. So it was like doing a straight, you get it right away, get super high, and then they took those off the market. And then people just went to, heroin was way cheaper and it was starting to be way more readily available. So and pills got really, really expensive. So why would you spend $200 on like 1 or 2 pills and get high for a couple hours, or spend $200 on a bag of heroin and get high for a week? You know what I mean?
Okay, so first came the OxyContin, and then came, okay, we'll just do heroin now, and then fentanyl started coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But it's like heroin's been a thing, since from the beginning of time. It was never, they just flooded. Everyone was doing it. It was crazy. It was just, and it was everywhere.
Well, I guess anyway, what I've come to from this is that it would be better if we just made opiates into. First of all, we're always going to need them for medical stuff, but we know
100%.
how to do that in a safe and healthy way. We've just fucked it up.
Yeah.
And then they should just be thought of as suicide drugs.
Yeah.
And that way we can maybe we can tabooify them enough that kids will not do them. And you'll just know, hey, if you're really ready to die, you get to do this.
Yeah.
You get to just be in a blissed out situation until you die.
That's a really good, people are always going to abuse drugs, but I think that's the best way to do it, is to stigmatify them,
Stigmatize doing them when you're young, but then but you go, okay, when you're ready to go, you totally get to do them, and we won't,
no judgment.
No
Just do your
judgment.
thing.
We might, so your loved ones might try to be like, hey, dude, I think you could still do it. But you get to the point where you go, and maybe we just make people make a public statement or something, have some kind of ritual, make some kind of ritual out of it where you go, hey, I am ready to die. And you have to just
a reverse bat mitzvah, where you become a man, you become whatever is past that,
Yeah. I'm ready to be a ghost, whatever. Yeah. All right. Well, that's my proposal. So if anybody wants to come on the podcast and argue that we should not make doing increasing amounts of opiates until you die.
Or if they think the Chinese aren't trying to kill us with fentanyl, that's the one I want to watch. I want to watch the person refuting my dumb argument that I made.
I mean, I'll grant you that I'm sure the Chinese are happy for us to be dying off of fentanyl, the fentanyl that they're making us. Yeah, I'm not sure to what extent there is really a conspiracy, or if you would.
Or
it's
I'm
the same
going to
thing with
call
social media.
super racist against Asians. That's
No, I mean, how do you feel about Asians?
I don't love them.
Really?
No.
Any of them?
No, I mean,
I like the Thai, but not the Laotians. I like the Koreans, but not the Japanese.
I grew up in Maine. I've only ever really been exposed to white people until I moved down here. So, I don't know anything about any other cultures except for French Canadians, but those are dumb white people too.
So funny. You just don't know. You've never like had an Asian friend? What about are you friends with Hans?
I know Hans. I wouldn't say we're hanging out.
Trying to think who else you would.
Man, you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
It's gonna make me sound really bad.
Hell yeah.
One time I was at an open mic and I saw Hans, so I went up. It was right after he got killed, Tony, and I was like, "Hey man, it's really awesome. I saw your set. It was really great. I'm glad you got this." It's like, "Thanks." And I walk away, and Heather Keith, she's dying laughing. And I go up to her and she's like, I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, that's not Hans Kim.
God.
That's Chris Tan.
Oh, Chris Tan's great. I love him too.
He is. They're both great.
They're both great.
This was when they both first moved to town, though. I will say it wasn't
That's not fair. They moved to town at the same time.
Right. Right. They didn't register. They didn't tell me. They weren't wearing name tags.
Mention, you got to mark like Michael Scott in that episode of The Office where he marks the Asian girls.
Yeah.
And Benihana or whatever.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of your viewers probably don't know. They're both young Asian men.
I think people could figure that out.
Yeah.
I guess Chris Tan. Well, Tan. Yeah. I think they're both. Are they both Chinese?
I have no idea.
Hans is. I think Chris probably is. Tan. Well, that could be Vietnamese or something. I don't know.
He talks about being Asian on stage. I don't think he specifies what.
No, your brain's probably just not.
My dumb racist brain's probably just yelling at me.
Asian. I was thinking about this, and it's so funny though, because if you call an Asian person the wrong thing, it's they can get offended about that. I'm not Korean. I'm Japanese. I'm not whatever. But it's that's just because they're racist against the other people.
Oh, I think isn't that kind of a known thing that Asians are the most racist?
I mean, I talk about it in my stand-up all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I don't even know if I would say. I mean, yes, they actually probably are the most racist.
There's like a
They're
whole
total supremacists. There's a whole.
there's like a caste system.
There's a caste.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's all light skin to dark, rich to poor. But beyond that, I mean, that's true all over the world.
Oh yeah, I work in kitchens with Mexicans and Guatemalans, and
Right.
they hate each other. It's,
Right, and
they get in big fights on whether it's better for a banana leaf or a corn husk for tamales.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
no, but I mean, to be, it's like the rich. Central Americans look down on the poor dark because it's all being dark as if you're a peasant and so you're
Yeah.
outside and you're like and so everyone and it's partly because of I think it's partly because of Western white supremacist ideas that got imported, but it's not just because the Asians also had that
yeah, I was gonna
without any
say,
whiteness.
Yeah,
But they had their own kind of idea.
but that's geographic. Like I
Yeah.
am from New England, from Maine. But if people ask me if I'm from Massachusetts, I get furious because I hate Massachusetts. Yeah, it's
Right.
you're proud of where you're from. It's a thing that's ingrained in you.
Well, that's one thing I think is actually interesting about Anglos in America, especially, is that we actually got over a lot of that kind of racism in a way that other people didn't. Because if you're in Asia, you're like, fuck these Vietnamese, I'm Chinese. But if you are in Alabama and someone's from Ohio and you both are Anglos, then or kind of whatever. Like someone could be part French, Irish, German. So we intermarried and everything.
Yeah.
Like it got to the point pretty quickly in America where all of these European countries were intermarrying, and
That's
all of
true.
these European countries were no longer seeing each other as like something to look down on. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, you're German, you're French, like that. It's actually very multicultural here, just of different European countries.
yeah, yeah.
But
it was also
that's
like a
unique.
big. Yeah,
you
there
know?
is a big divide, but like North and South, that's still a thing. Not
we,
so much.
we always come up with our own divide. We're still
Yeah.
tribal, so we come
Yeah.
up with our own divides, but it's like it's no longer on the same kind of like national origin, ethnic lines. It was like we teamed up. Hey, if we all call ourselves white, then we can be against the others, whatever,
Yes. So
So it's
I think,
both more
what
and
you're
less
I think what
racist.
you're saying right now is white people are not racist. Thank you.
Are
I
the
agree.
least racist people in the world.
We're right and we're not racist.
Well, I also have said this too many times, but I don't believe in the concept of whiteness. I think that needs to be dismantled, but people can listen to other episodes.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about it after.
All right.
Do you want to plug anything for the good listeners?
No. When does this come out?
4 weeks. I
No.
feel like we've got some
I have
episodes.
no idea. I have a show in.
Yeah. Do you have anything regular? Do you have a fucking Instagram?
I have an Instagram. My Instagram is just my name. It's Craig Fergola, all one word. CraigFergola. That's how I'm on
I
all the
always thought it
social
was
medias.
Fagol.
Yeah, no. That's thanks for bringing that. That's what I got called in high school all the time for that.
No, I don't know if I ever told you, but for a long time I had you on my off.
You showed me. Yeah,
booking
Ferguson.
sheet. No. I had you as Greg Fergola. I thought your name was Greg for months.
You showed me for something for a while. It was totally wrong. That's not as bad as mixing up two different people, though.
Yeah, that's way worse.
And then you used to do the podcast, Mike, and I had GFY Social Club. That has supposed to be coming back for a long time, and we keep talking about it. So that might be coming back, but we have old episodes up on Spotify. GFY Social Club. Arielle did 2 of them or 3 of them.
That was fun. I remember.
Yeah, we did a live one, right? For the I think the DNC or the RNC.
Oh, the DNC. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And then I think you were on another one or 2. We got like 70-something episodes of that up. And that may be coming back with video, so
Oh yeah.
keep an eye out for that.
Nice. And you can follow me on Instagram at EllenDegenderless if you want little comedy clips and to know about other stuff. I always have a tab that says upcoming shows. Like, you can save stories to the little thingy.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone ever uses it, but I put it there diligently.
Well, even just to remind yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then not everybody puts up flyers, so then not every show even makes it there. Do you not have a calendar?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Okay, well then why do you need? Okay, so yeah, there's that. Also, you can check out my podcast, Gender Fluids. That's soon going to have video too. And
I'm glad. I thought that went away. I haven't seen you.
well, we haven't been as consistent about it because Ava just didn't want to do the editing, but now we have producers.
Okay.
So
Good.
Yeah, hell yeah. So let's see. Yeah, follow Politically Non-Binary on whatever. Subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Leave a review if that's a thing on your app. And tell a friend. And if you have thoughts on our podcast, if you or someone you know should come on here and tell us what we got wrong, what we forgot to say. Or just
If anyone knows any Chinese spies that are like living in the
Chinese.
United States plotting against us and they have any thoughts on the fentanyl issue,
I like to joke that my girlfriend could be a Chinese spy, and that's why she's dating me.
I don't
a
joke.
long-term-
I don't joke about stuff. It's very serious.
I want to at least make a TV show where that's the plot. Isn't there been something where there's a TV show where like people were spies?
The Americans, one of the best shows of
Was
all
that
time.
good? I need to watch that.
So good, yeah, so good.
Okay, I'm gonna
One
watch
of my
that.
favorite shows of all time.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Russian sleeper cells in the '80s.
Yeah, that's hot.
Carrie Russell's in it too.
I forget who that is.
Oh, you'll know when you see her.
I'm sure I will. All right. I feel like that's enough plugs. Oh, and every Tuesday we do the Gay Enough Comedy Show at East Austin Comedy Club at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
You can also find that through my Instagram or their website. And follow Backyard Sluts on Instagram to know when that's happening next. Follow Off Script Comedy. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.